Always, he's right.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com. Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me, as always,
Eric Olson.
Hey, Eric, we have a great guest on tap, and this one is really kind of cool because I love Yellowstone National Park. I don't know if I ever told you that. I love it there. I enjoy it there immensely. And there's
that is
just
amazing. I do too.
There's just something mystical about that area. You know what I mean? There's just something about that park. And, of course, I will step aside, but I just want to throw that out there. And if you guys have never been to Yellowstone, make that a point this summer to get there. It is truly a magical area.
It's so prehistoric. It feels, Jurassic with these geysers and weird colors from the various minerals and whatnot in the waters and all of the wildness and the bears and it's an amazing place, and you're so far removed because you're way off the beaten path.
It is truly,
Wyoming.
It's just truly a wonderful place, and I will step aside, but that's part of what we're talking about tonight. But I just want to throw that in there. It's just get a chance this summer, definitely check it out.
All right, well, we are talking about the brand new book, Witch Creek, in the backcountry of Yellowstone. Funny Joel mentioned that. Evil moves below the surface. Following 9 of Stars, which is the previous book in the series, the next chapter in Laura Bickle's critically acclaimed Wildlands series is Witch Creek. As the daughter of an alchemist, Petra D has battled supernatural horrors and experienced astonishing wonders, but there's no magic on Earth that can defeat her recent cancer diagnosis, nor help her find her missing husband Gabriel. Still, she would bet all of her remaining days that the answer to his disappearance lies in the dark, subterranean world beneath the Rutherford Ranch on the outskirts of Temperance, Wyoming. Oh my goodness gracious. And who is our author? Our author is Laura Bickle. Laura Bickle grew up in rural Ohio, reading entirely too many comic books out loud to her favorite Wonder Woman doll. After graduating with an MA in Sociology and Criminology from Ohio State University and an MLIS in Library Science from the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. She patrolled the stacks. I'm patrolling at the public library and worked with data systems in criminal justice. She now dreams up stories about the monsters under the stairs. Her work has been included in the ALA's Amelia Bloomer Project 2013 reading list and the State Library of Ohio's Choose to Read Ohio reading list for 2015 and 2016. Welcome to the program, Laura Bickle.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, our pleasure. Our pleasure. And, of course, I'm a big comic book lover myself. What was your favorite? Who was your favorite comic book series?
Oh, gosh, I have to say it was Wonder Woman. And I grew up with the Linda Carter Wonder Woman on television.
Now, you are awesome.
In the 80s.
You are awesome because so did I. And I got to tell you, I'm not too proud to admit this. I might have had a crush on her back in those days, along with every other guy and whoever else running around. She was a fox and still is, by the way. They showed her on TV and she's still looking good, by the way. And wow, So yeah, that brings you right back. I like the Wonder Woman, but I also liked the X-Men, of course. And actually Superman. Superman was always my go-to, something about the Man of Steel that I just really enjoyed reading. So that's cool. I like fellow comic book geeks.
Yeah, I loved Wonder Woman as a kid, and it was probably one of my first introductions to fantasy were the comic books that were at the corner store just down the street from our elementary school. That, and also gotta give a shout out to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, come on, Skeletor. Was there anything scarier than Skeletor? I mean, sure, you had He-Man, and you go, I have the power, and become He-Man, but Skeletor was always creepy. He didn't change into anything. He always looked creepy.
I gotta tell you, I went to a slumber party with a Masters of the Universe sleeping bag that had Skeletor and He-Man kind of fighting on the graphic on the top of it. Scared the heck out of the other girls there, and I was made to sleep in the other room.
Wow. They had no idea what good taste in comics was, did they? Are you kidding me?
No. Yeah, I know. I was ostracized because of the Skeletor sleeping bag.
They should have given you a high five and said, you go, girl.
Well, this was before She-Ra came along. I got a She-Ra bag after that, and I was allowed back in.
You were allowed in the fold after that.
Okay, you know what it was? It was an early Me Too moment.
Oh, yep.
Well,
All right, so tell us about the series.
Yeah.
Witch Creek is now the latest. I believe it's the third. Is that right? Iteration.
Mm-hmm. Actually, there were several books before it. I started off with Dark Alchemy, Mercury Retrograde. Nine of Stars was the last book, and this is actually book 4. So,
wrong.
Kind of fun to be hip deep in a series with monsters and undead cowboys and basilisks and all kinds of creatures roaming the backcountry of Yellowstone. It's a lot of fun.
Why Yellowstone, though? Why not like Texas? Why not this? Why not that? That conjures up cowboys. What was the allure of Yellowstone in your writing?
Well, a couple things. First of all, being from Ohio, I've hit like a lot of the supernatural sites in Ohio, like Serpent Mound, which is one of my all-time favorites. But my husband and I had taken a trip to, this has been several years ago, to Yellowstone for a conference. And he was at his conference all day, and I had time to play. So I was just enchanted by the setting. Like you said before, there is big magic there. I mean, it feels like there should be dragons in the mountains, and there should be something deep and supernatural moving beneath the earth, that there should be something in those underground rivers. And you visit places that Witch Creek is an actual place there, and there's a cave that exhales with the breath of a dragon.
I was going to say,
just like you would imagine.
I've been there.
You know?
And I remember hearing the cave exhaling, coming out with all the noxious fumes and just being loud, sounding like it should be alive. And if you went in that cave, you may be eaten, is how I felt. Like, wow, that thing may be alive, and it sounds angry.
And it all sits on top of a super volcano that I hope stays dormant for the rest of our lives.
Right? That'd be a bad day when that thing kicks off. Make no plans because, things are pretty much done after that.
I don't like when the words super and volcano come together.
No. It's a bad time for all.
So, this is, did you say this is the third or fourth in the series? I almost.
It's the fourth.
That's what I thought. And so this has been an ongoing, of course, story about this person. And then you grab Yellowstone. About when you were in Yellowstone, though, prepping your mind to write this book, was it the big sky that made you think whimsically more than anything else? Because for me at night in Yellowstone, when the stars are out and that big sky is a showing, anything could be possible.
It is, and it has such complete darkness there, like we don't get in cities. And that's one of the things that I really love about rural fantasy, is that you can get your characters off into places where there is no cell reception, where there's total darkness, and with apologies to Alien, where nobody can hear you scream. And that, I think, is one of the things that is really overlooked when we talk about rural fantasy and Weird West.
I would agree. I would definitely agree because, not too many book series or movies, for that matter, have exploited that part of the nation. I've gone to like a Yellowstone because it truly is. When you're in Yellowstone, you could go days without seeing anyone else. It is a big place. And so I like the fact that you brought that in. Plus, it's a big, advertisement to our park systems. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
It's just amazing that a place like that is so accessible that you can actually, like you were talking about before, walk past these mud pots that are these Technicolor colors that are belching up steam and they're hissing at you like they're alive. I mean, it is a tremendous, tremendous place, and so many places that seem so untouched by human habitation, by human hands in any way. And it just kind of, it has not changed for centuries. And it is really, I guess when I write books, one of the things I try to get in touch with first is the setting. And I usually come across the setting, and then I think, bam, I've got to write a book about that. Wrote books about Detroit in that respect. And this was one of those places for me. I mean, just being there, I thought, wow, what is the spirit of this place? What is going on that may be just beyond the limits of human vision? I really want to know.
Now, do your characters, how do they come to you? Do they come to you organically? Do they almost just show up in imagination? How do you formulate the characters? Because we've had a lot of authors on, and they have wildly different ways that they say characters come to them. How do they come to you, the characters you write about?
Well, the characters for this book came to me sort of, I had this setting, I knew there had to be magic there, and I come across the idea that what if there was a guy who was an alchemist centuries ago, maybe about a century and a half ago, who had founded a town based on his conjuring gold from alchemy. What if this old alchemist had kind of finally figured out that secret and created his own alchemical projects and monsters that kind of wandered through the countryside? So I had a good handle on what the past was of this place, and I wanted to create a relatable protagonist. So I wanted somebody who was ordinary, not somebody who had godlike magic or anything like that. So I came up with Petra D., who is a geologist, who is a skeptic, who's very much like Agent Scully in the X-Files, who winds up being dropped into this tiny town of Temperance, where there are undead cowboys and monsters kind of lurking in the night. And it really, it bakes her noodle. And she struggles to explain it very much as I think that we would if we were walking into a situation like that. And she is joined by a coyote sidekick, Sig, who may or may not be the coyote with a capital C, and an undead cowboy, Gabriel, who was hanged from the alchemical tree of life 2 centuries ago. And he's sort of a kind of an undead creature who has to return to this tree every night if he wants to survive. So lots of fun stuff to play with that, that big sky country.
Sure, he's got to show up to recharge is what he's got to do.
He's actually got to rot and then be reformed. It's kind of a disgusting process because I did not want any glittery undead.
I was going to say, how did a nice girl like you come across? He has to rot first. Let's make him rot.
I just wanted it to be, non-romantic in that way. So when they get together later, it's out of, true devotion and not.
Oh, Laura,
wow,
there's very few things less romantic than rotting flesh.
True.
Unless you're a necrophiliac,
well,
of
that's
course.
That's true, too.
Well, it's not like that. Trust me.
So tell us about your character, your Petra, your protagonist. How did you develop her? I know you said you wanted someone ordinary. What other characteristics did you wish to imbue upon her? And has she changed over the 4 books?
Yeah, she really has. That's kind of one of the challenges of writing a character over the series. You have to give them a character arc in each book, a middle, a beginning, and an end.
Sure.
But also have them evolve over several books. I initially had her coming to the town of Temperance to look for her father.